Dort, and I'm down to dunk. This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
I'm Josh Giddey, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, this is Kenny Hustle, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Darius Baisley, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Poku, and I'm down to dunk.
I love cereal. Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cracklin' Oat Bran.
Oh, I can have these. I'm going to share with my team, but I'm going to hog most of them.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Barra. Michele, what's up?
Good friend? Are you 100% sure?
We can agree or disagree and still be good friends. Yes.
No. This is where our friendship will end for good.
This is it. So, it's over, guys. It's all over. There's no more wondering. There's no more angst about losing. It's all over. And the Thunder are in the fourth spot, which is for weeks where we thought they would be. And it felt like they could maybe fall to 5. It felt like maybe they could be up as far as 3 or 2. And then all of the hand-wringing gets us to the fourth spot. So this is where we're at. We have to make peace with it somehow. Do we wish it was better? Yes. Are we glad it isn't worse? Yes. This is just where we're at today. We can take a little... Oh, man. I don't know why Chrome is doing this. I want to take a little spin on the Tankathon wheel. I guess it's not even a wheel. What would it be? It's not a wheel. Just like a lottery system.
Yeah.
Than a website. I wish it was a wheel. I like wheels. Okay, we're going to take a spin. And this will be it. This will be it, everybody. This is where it's going to be. And you can refer back to this podcast when it's time to go. So here we go. Spinning over. Oh my gosh. Michele, we got the first pick on my very first spin.
Yeah, my very first spin of today was the 7th. So I think that is... This is exactly what we deserved.
Here's the order. The Thunder get pick 1, Indiana 2, Sacramento 3, Washington jumps up 6 spots to get the 4th pick. Houston falls 4 spots to 5. Orlando falls 4 spots to 6. Detroit falls 4 spots to 7. Portland falls 2 spots to 8. The Pelicans get the 9th pick. That is a dream scenario if I've ever seen one. Right there.
Why do you have to use those words? You know that they never work. Never.
They don't. They definitely don't work. Actually, they did work. We got the scenario we wanted. So what would happen so if anybody didn't listen to our podcast, back in the last year of Paul George and Russell Westbrook, we had fabricated this dream scenario of playing the Blazers in round 1 because Yusuf Nurkic was out. We felt like that was the team the Thunder could most easily beat. We got it. So here's what it would be, Michele. We get the dream scenario, and then the Thunder draft the wrong guy.
They draft Shaedon Sharpe with the number 1 pick.
That's what the dream scenario is.
Yeah. Yeah, you may be right. Hey, if that happens, we are going to be so excited for.
I'll be so pumped. And
days.
the fact that you get like the double win of like the Rockets falling far, that's great. It's just an added like little boost for our Thunder souls.
Yeah,
be great. So, anyways, that's Fantasyland. Snap back into reality, everybody, where the Thunder have the 4th slot. The last 3 years, the team that had the 4th slot, the 6th pick. So that's a harsh look at reality and where the Thunder could be. You can rationalize it however you want. Oh, I really like AJ Griffin, or Shaedon Sharpe could be the best player in the draft because we don't know anything about him. Or you know what? Benedict Mathurin might be the guy, or man, Keegan Murray's ready, and he really seems like a Thunder guy. You can you can rationalize it all you want. But the truth is, staying at falling to 5 or even staying at 4 or being at 6, that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks after losing the game and really getting in on the tank like they did. Like, we have to realize that the Thunder have never tanked like they did in the last 2 weeks of the season. It has never happened like this. And people want to talk about the Thunder tanking and how long they've done it. Boy, and you know what? I give them all the credit in the world for actually doing it, because they needed to lose all these games, because they had teams. I mean, those 2 games in LA, I'm not going to lie, if you look at the injury reports, you get a little scared.
Yeah.
Who's playing? And if they played all their healthy guys, they could have won one of those, and then you're trying to go for a coin flip. They could have won both of those. Like, that Lakers team was bad. The Clippers were good. Like, they played enough good guys, but still,
No, they played well.
Something funky could always happen if you play your decent guys. And if you win both of those, you're 5. Like, you're just 5.
Yeah.
And that would be disastrous. So good on the Thunder for doing the right thing. Congratulations. Your reward is sitting alone at 4th and not having to split the odds with anybody.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's I think that what they had to do was tougher than all the others that are currently below them in the reverse standing. That is true to me. And also, is it really worse than last year? The tanking, I mean,
Michele,
I don't think.
Michele, they brought up 3 guys from the G League.
Yeah, but let me finish.
They played only 6 guys.
Yes, I know. For how many games?
Was it 5 games? 4 games?
Exactly. And my point is, until Shea was out, which was, I think, game 72, 70 something, they had reasonably good games and players you get excited for 72 games. Last year, after All-Star game, it was terrible.
It was. But they did play the young guys they had.
Those were bad young guys.
I know, but they still played them. And that's what Houston's doing. People tried to do like this thing where, like, well, my team is tanking in a way that is way better than your team is.
No. I'm not saying.
I'm not saying you're doing it, but I'm saying that I've seen it on Twitter, and it is one of the most annoying things in the world to me.
Yeah, I mean,
where they try to justify, like, oh, ours is better, or I can't believe that this team tanked like this, and is this team, and it's just like, guys, like, stop. Like, every team is doing the same thing. Every team is doing the same thing.
Well, some teams don't.
Some teams
not the same. I think. I don't agree that everyone is
trying to lose games. That's what they're all trying to lose games and have to do it in their own way.
Yeah, but my point is, I rarely saw OKC's core player just giving up on a game. It happened because the Memphis game happened. It happened other times, like the 2 games against Minnesota were bad games with not like top effort. But the beauty
they lost 58 games.
I know. But how many of those you felt like, hey, I watched a good game. I watched a team that is not playing the best guys. Yeah. They are not playing Muscala. They are not playing Kenrich. They are limiting Shea and stuff like that. But they are trying to do something with the rest of the guys. It was tanking with development purposes. Let's put it this way. And they had to do what they did at the end of the season, because they were ahead of the curve initially with young guys, not with like superstar. Like, it's not like Portland that won a little bit of games early. I mean, to me, again, it's better than last season because I got to see Trey Mann and I was so excited by his play.
Yeah.
I got to see plenty of Pokuševski. I got to see Giddy being awesome for
Mm.
50 something games. I I witnessed Shea turn into a supernova for 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that, to me, like, I would be willing to trade one spot in the draft, not in the draft, in the reverse standing, for
Mm-hmm.
just to witness this, to be
Yeah.
sure that the development is going somewhere, compared to, hey, we've done nothing, we wasted a year, we didn't build anything, but we have the second best odds. No, to me, that is not worth it.
But I would say, Michele, that like I think that every bad team is doing this today. I think the Pistons are sitting here saying like, man, it was a bad season, but we've got Cade and we've got Sadiq Bey who had a great season, and we're ahead because we've got a number one guy and no one else does. I think Houston's sitting there saying Jalen Green has absolutely started to come into his own at the end of the season. He's had like I think it's 6 games with 30 points or more. Like, what a stud. I'm so
Mhm.
glad that we got him second in the draft. Uh, Şengün has been better than I thought he would be. Like, what an incredible season. We still have great odds. I think Orlando can say, like, wow, Mo Wagner at 8. Like,
Yeah.
what a steal for us. Like, let's see with Jalen Suggs. And we still have great odds. I don't think that Oklahoma City is unique to any of those in that
Mhm.
I think everybody has players that they like. And I think that like the Pistons believe that they are building a culture too. I know this for a fact that they believe the same thing. And they have been in a ton of close games down the stretch. Like
Yeah.
they have been competing in almost every game that they played with or without Cade. And they feel the same way. So to me, it's hard because I feel like the story, like you can write whatever story, like every team can write the same story of
Mhm.
we're in the bottom 4. I love the odds we got. I love the guys we have. This is awesome. Like the only team that I think you could make the case for that they're a little bit more directionless is Orlando, because I
Mhm.
don't think that they have anything close to number one guy. Like Oklahoma City has Shea, Detroit has Cade, and Houston has Jalen Green. I don't know why I blanked on his name for a second. I think everybody can feel good about those guys.
Mhm.
Fact is that everybody needs to get one of the best guys in this draft. All of those
Exactly.
teams
Yeah.
need to get one of the best guys in
Yeah.
this
I
draft.
completely agree. But the point is that, especially in this draft, which is, I mean, it was top 3 at the beginning. Now is top 4, and maybe we will get to like another guy. Even last year,
Mhm.
it was clearly 2-3 guys. At a certain point, it was 2-3 guys, then Suggs, then Barnes, and then the others.
Yeah, they're
So
calling it a 5-player draft at one point. Yeah.
yeah, it was. With Barnes being, hey, if we get Barnes, we are happy, but we much rather be at the beginning of the draft.
Well,
Right
Barnes
now
was
is
seen as at this point last year. Barnes was seen as the 6th guy
yeah,
because it was Kaminga
behind Kuminga,
as
yes.
the 5th guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But the point is, the first 5 guys or the first 3 guys were very, very, very good, and then you had a small step. Right now, it seems to me, and then I have to start watching, and I will in the next few days. That it's clearly top 4, and
Mhm.
then the others. So to me, it's, hey, you position yourself in a slightly worse spot than Houston, Detroit, and Orlando, with
Mhm.
again having the most competitive roster among the 3. So to me, they had a great season, tanking wise, and on top of that, on top of getting where you wanted to be, you got the development stuff. So again, I think that the roster of OKC was, if they played enough guys, they would have been probably better than the Lakers and closer to the play-in than people realize. I said it at the beginning of the season. That was my
Think they
take on
win
the
10
roster.
more games?
Yeah,
10 is a lot.
I know.
10 is a lot. I don't know.
I know.
I don't know that I can get there, but
Say I said how many wins the Lakers have? 32?
33.
33. Yeah. So it's around the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, the version of the team with Shea, Mike, and Kenrich was a good NBA team. Period. Not just it was a good team, and they played for a very limited amount of minutes. So, again, all in all, I really think that the most important thing is to be lucky there. The fact that you go from 4 to 7 instead of 4 to 5, yes, that matters. 5 is better than 7, but it's not that. The point is you have to win the lottery. You really have to be drawn and to get your number called. That is the most important thing. And again, OKC has 48% chances to get that. Best teams 52. So it's not nothing, but it's not 25 against 10, something like that. It's very close. And yeah, anything can happen. I mean, they can slide, they can go to 6, they can go to 7, and they will have to hit another kind of lottery in selecting the best player there, which might end up being very good. But I agree. I mean, the point now is having a little bit of luck. Everyone needs luck now.
You got. I mean, they've got to have luck. It would be very bad if they did this twice, 2 years in a row, where you're in March, April, and there are fans that are like just flat, like checking out, just like why, like I don't want to watch this. Why are they doing this? This is ridiculous. This is not what I want my team to do. I'd rather than put the full team out there and like compete, yada yada, and you do that 2 years in a row, and are gonna go for a third probably, and after year 2 you have 2 picks outside the top 5. I think that it's just not, the optics aren't good, and then the odds that you're playing with at that point with regards to the kind of players that you can get are not good. And is there another giddy type of player in the 6 to 8 range? I don't know. I haven't watched enough of those guys yet to be able to say like, oh, I really love them. Like anybody hanging on to the Shaden Sharp thing, and Shaden Sharp may work out. One, he hasn't declared for the draft yet.
Yeah.
And 2, like the high school tape of anybody, newsflash, is going to look freaking awesome.
Yeah. No, it's again, but the point is, suppose that happens, that OKC doesn't get another top 4 pick.
Yeah.
They had great odds last season to be in the top 5. They were unlucky. Right now, that they need a little bit of luck in order to get there, because 48.4% is still unlikely, not probable. But I have, I think, way more than 50% to get between 1 and 5 again. So, I mean, luck is luck. You can't control it. You just can't put yourself in the best. But they are not in the best position, but they are very close to it. And so it's if they get to 6, if they get to 7, and they have an amazing draft, it can be the same result. I know that it's not where anyone wants to be, because they want to be able to pick the best guy. They want to be number 1 because they can choose which one of the best player in this class they can pick. But again, I don't think, I never thought during this season that whatever OKC was doing was bad or was not organized. They took away step by step all the pieces that they could, step by step, slowly.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if they started the season like starting Diakite for the entire season, or playing Kalatsakis for the entire season, instead of letting Trey Mann cook for a game. I mean, Trey Mann game at Madison Square Garden is the difference between them being a coin flip away from the 3rd pick and number 4 pick. Do you want to take it away? I don't. the logo shot from Shea against the Lakers. Yes, you always remember Portland, but against Portland, they did everything they could twice.
Yeah.
They got 2 wins.
Yeah.
Against Phoenix, they did everything they could, and they lost. The games that you should
They did
take away.
everything they could. We obviously saw that they didn't do everything they could. Like they showed in the last 2 weeks that they could do everything they could.
Yeah, I know, but
there was more. They should. I mean, that's not everything they could. They were
most than anybody.
Everything they could.
Yeah, most than anybody. Close to Portland. The point is, the wins that you can take away are those ones. Like you could have said to Man and Giddy, hey, no, now we're all Krejci and Pokuševski against the Knicks. Or those are the things. I mean, you could have stopped Isaiah Roby in Denver. But what is this? Is this something that you want? That when your team, a young team, is going against is in either a historical place or going against a very good team and they are succeeding, you want to take that away from them? If you do that, then you're going to lose. But I don't think that they want to do that. They could have.
Yeah.
As much as they said Lindy Waters after 3 threes in a row, 2 threes in a row, they could have said Trey Mann or Shea or whoever. They didn't.
Yeah. I mean, obviously things changed over the last 2 weeks with the way that they were handling everything.
Yeah.
You know? And do I wish they had more losses? Yeah, I do. You look at their net rating from October to January, they're 27th in net rating, negative 7.2 net rating.
Yeah.
They're not a good team. I kind of push back on the thought, and I had this come into my Twitter mentions a lot, that the Thunder could be the team in the play-in. That net rating is in line with Houston and Detroit and Orlando through the first several months of the season when they did play Shea and Dort and Giddey and Mike Muscala and Kenrich.
Yeah, but the starting unit was terrible. That starting unit doesn't make any sense.
Saying, like, they still were losing games and they still had a horrific net rating.
Yeah, the beginning of the season was, I think, strategic in order to play all the guys and not winning. That was very good. But again, to me, like, start Mike and you have a very different result.
It's possible. They still did a pretty good job of losing games. And then you look at January to March on the net rating. Like, there's not they had a good defense at times, or they had a good defensive rating at times. You know, you look at January to March, negative 7.7 net rating, 28th worst net rating. Like, you look at those 2 big chunks of the season, both different in that, like, you miss Shea for a lot of this chunk, you miss Giddey for a lot of this chunk. And still, like, you have about this, according to the offensive and defensive ratings, like, you still have about the same caliber of team. Like, you're just not a good team yet. And that's okay. Like, young teams are not supposed to be good. Young teams are not supposed to have good net ratings. You're not supposed to be there yet. The Thunder aren't supposed to be there yet. I don't know that they're going to be there next year either. I feel like the island of people that believe that they're not going to be good next year is dwindling. That a lot of people think they're going to be better next year, and maybe they are. The evidence is more the eye test to me than it is anything else. Like, you just kind of feel like they're going to be better, but
I don't think it's a feeling for me.
I feel like you also look around, though, and like some of these teams that are in the play-in range this season are going to get better. Like the Clippers, if they're healthy, they're going to be a lot better than were this year. Same for New Orleans. I think San Antonio could take a leap next year too.
I'm not under the
Sacramento. Portland will take a leap. Like, there are teams that are going to get better too.
Yeah, I'm not under the impression that they will be in the play-in next year.
Yeah. I'm
Next
just saying
year,
that there's a lot of people that are.
yeah,
that
maybe
believe that
next year, maybe one where they are in the same position as the Lakers now.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have one of the bottom 8, bottom 10 records, which gives them odds, not great odds, to be again in the high in the lottery. And but you mean you said that it's more on the eye test. I don't quite think so. I think that there are lineups data, which I know some says that are noisy. They are. They really are, because you.
All I'm saying is I just don't think that they're ready to be a good team yet. That's all I'm saying.
Which I believe, but the thing that I think is true is that they won a lot more games than the net rating suggests, because they have a very good closer in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and this will lead to more games, like it did with Chris Paul. The net rating of that team was not in par with the results, and also for this entire season, they never played functional lineups. Like they always played Shai with the worst shooters. They always put weird lineups together. There was the Diakite moment that made no sense, and yet he played a lot. So I think that they tanked their season that way. Like take a good player and put them around horrible players and see how it goes.
I don't disagree with that. I would say, if you were under the impression that they're going to not do that again next year, I would certainly start to think about changing your tune.
Yeah, but suppose that they're lucky enough, or unlucky. Let's say unlucky, and they end up drafting Keegan Murray, because where they are, he's the best player.
Yeah, right.
Then you start the season, and you clearly start him, because come on, like, what do? You don't start him? Yes, you do. And suppose that Dort starts to take corner threes only. That may be the difference between winning 24 and 32.
It's possible.
Just having two good enough shooters to put around Shai. Because if Shai is the version that we saw at the end of the season, and Giddey is in par with what he was, I don't think that this team will win again below 30. Does that mean that they are good? No, but it means that if they want to play functional units, they can, and they will be good at doing that.
I feel a bet coming on toward August, September between you and me. I feel like a 30 win threshold bet coming at us.
You get out for a second, or maybe I get out for a second.
Yeah, I was just saying I feel a bet coming on between you and me.
Oh yeah,
on the 30 win thing.
You know how bets go between you and me.
I do. I'm ready. Yeah, I mean, you look at cleaning the glass, and you have Josh, Shai, Kenrich, and Mike. Let's throw Dort in there too, just for the fun of it. And see what they were on the season together.
Oh, they played probably 6 or 7 minutes together.
That lineup played 38 possessions together, and were a plus 37. I don't know what game that was. I'd like to know what game that was.
Take away, just focus on Mike, Kenrich, and Shai.
Mike, Kenrich, and Shai. No Giddey. No Dort.
No Giddey.
Goodbye, Giddey. Goodbye, Dort. Plus 18.9 and 254 possessions. The best lineup was the one I just said. The second best, Shai, Dort, Kenrich, Bays, Muskie. The third most played lineup was Shai, Ty Jerome, Dort, Kenrich, Muscala, minus 6.7. Fourth, they're all such small samples.
Yeah, but yes, take just Shai and Mike.
Shea and Mike.
Hmm.
Goodbye, Kenrich. You kind of forget about Kenrich and Mike a little bit, that they're just people around here. Haven't seen them in so long. +4 on the season.
I expected better.
What about
That's a huge
Kenrich?
sample, though.
Kenrich and Shea. Yeah, it's a nice sample.
Yeah, and that to me is
this is where Shea and Kenrich together +11.6. This is where the levers conversation came from, though, was that we understood that you put competent players with Shea, like stuff's going to happen. And it was like, all right, we know, we've got it. We get it. This is we understand the concept here. Pull the levers, like get them out of here, because we need guys that are going to be here in 5 years. Like, is Kenrich Williams going to be on the Thunder in 5 years? Maybe. Is Mike Muscala playing in the NBA in 5 years? Probably not. But we want to be like ultimately very competitive in 5 years. And with guys like Shea and Giddey and whoever we can get in this draft, and if you're picking 9th or you're picking 7th, you're putting yourself behind even a bigger 8 ball. I don't know if the 8 ball gets worse as it gets bigger, but maybe it does. It just gets worse for you. And not to say that if you get the 3rd pick in the draft, like you're golden and everything's going to be awesome. Like, look at Orlando, and they got our guy Jalen Suggs, who did not have a good rookie season. He was one of the worst high volume shooters in the league this year. I think there's a stat that says that he was the worst high volume shooter in the NBA this year. Like, that's not great. Can he get better? I still believe that he can be a good player in the NBA, but that's not, when you look around at the rookie class, you're kind of like, oh crap, can't believe we got this guy. Like, Josh Giddey would look a lot better in a Magic jersey this year, and you'd feel a lot better about the Magic right now if they had Josh Giddey and Franz Wagner than Suggs and Franz Wagner. And if you're the Thunder, you feel a whole heck of a lot worse if you have Suggs instead of Giddey. So there's no science to this. There's no like, it's all still so up in the air. However, the history of the league says picking in the top 5 is what helps you jump the middle of anything else.
Yeah, but
picking in the top 5 helps you jump the middle.
Helps you, yes, among many other things. This is another point that
Players
I
are
want to make.
the biggest thing. No one jumped to a championship on culture alone. Like, you've got to have the players. You've got to have the top level players.
Yes, but you don't need the number 1 player to do so.
I agree with that. However, having
like take the last few championships. Oh, it's Andrew that is froze. Okay, I thought it was me. Well, then I can keep talking and entertain you guys. Oh, that now it's just me. Fantastic. This is not going great. Okay, so while Andrew returns, let's take questions from the chat. Tots SIX star. Let me see. Talks and voters not voting Giddey or Green for rookie first team. A little bit of a recency bias and allow games played. I think that that is the case. This question was from 6ix5 5-star, something like that. So to me, Giddy was one of the best rookie periods. If you want to put Alvarado there or others, fine. I don't particularly agree with that. Then White Black Mikey talk to us about the future of Poku. Well, I wish I knew what happens with Poku next year. I think that he may be the catalyst from being a normal team to be a very good team. I think he makes sense in a team with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Giddy, especially if he's not tasked to be the guy who handles the ball a gazillion times per game. Alex Boulderjack, why so big on Vit? I'm not so big on Vit. I'm just curious to see if he's a good enough shooter. The last few games have been rough for him. So it's I'm entertained when he plays with good players around him. He seems like a high IQ kind of guy. Turbo-tastic. Andrew's point. KD, LeBron, Mickey's point. Giannis, Curry, Kawhi. Yeah, kind of. I think that culture and coaches and development is actually important. I mean, yes, it's very unlikely the team drafts as Golden State, but there are other teams like Milwaukee, like the Raptors, like others. Maybe Denver will win the championship. Maybe Phoenix will win the championship. And trust me, it's not Aiden that is putting there over the middle. Yes, it's nice to have Aiden, but it's Booker. So it's, to me, it's not kind of like necessarily true that you need to have the first one pick. Let me just text to Andrew that I'm still here. So here, going solo. This is great podcasting. Okay. Tom O'Malley. Player year. Peak Bam, 17, 14 Sabonis. I don't know what you're saying. But anyway. Player year peak. Bam, 17 pick in 2014. No, it doesn't seem right. I don't know how to read this, Tom. I'm sorry. Anyway, there are plenty of good players. Sabonis, Booker, Halliburton, Shea, and guys like that. Thoughts on Moody? I have watched so little of Golden State. So, no, sorry, Tommaso. I don't have any good thoughts about Moody. Plan to catch up with a few of the young guys in the future. Nathan Creamer. This is the most disjointed I've seen Andrew and Mickey on a subject before. Loving it. Now we fight on some stuff. I know that me and Andrew are like we think basketball in a very similar way. I just think that it's either you will complain by the fact that either the drop is important for you or it's not. And if it's not, which for me it's really not, because the difference in this draft from 5 to 8, it's negligible, I think, and in most draft is actually not that great. Then OKC is really close to the best in terms of odds. So that's why I'm not worrying about any of this. If they are unlucky, hey, it happens. I mean, it really happens. That sometimes luck goes against you. And if they are lucky, they still have to be good. It's the most important thing when you don't have a clear-cut number one is to be great at drafting. And there are only a few years where you have Ja and Zion. And hey, the year with Luka, the year with LeBron. I mean, there are those years where there is a clear-cut number one guy. In the other years, the fact that there's a lot of concentration of picks in top 5 that are great. It's not that was the mock draft at the beginning. Like it's a little bit more complicated than that. So yeah, we kind of disagree a bit. James Anderson. Hey, look who's here.
I'm back. I don't know. My internet went out.
Well, we were having fun without you, so
Are you
yeah,
just
people
bad
were
mouthing me,
complaining
just
about
talking about how
you.
wrong I was about everything?
No, I was just answering Nathan Creamer's question about me and you and me disagreeing for the
Mhm.
first time. It's not the first time.
What
We
do
already
what
had.
let's establish like it's exactly what we disagree on, because I don't know that I fully understand what we disagree on.
I don't know either. I think that the most important thing we disagree on is that I don't care about that you can't drop after 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't really care about that. To
I
me,
mean,
it's not.
if
It's less
you're
important than many other things,
I don't know,
like
man.
developing guys, like playing Shea.
I'd rather give Sam more choices than less choices.
Yeah, but come on.
What do you
I
mean,
mean,
come on? Like, don't
come
act
on.
like
Who
that.
cares?
If the Thunder
Who
didn't have
cares?
Giddey in this draft and they have somebody else, if they're 7th, like I don't think they would take Kuminga.
There is a universe where OKC drafts Mo Wagner, who's there, and he is the best rookie in this class.
Franz.
Sorry,
You
Franz.
don't want Mo Wagner. You
No,
don't
you don't.
want to draft him. He's not going to help you.
Franz Wagner would have fit this roster better than Giddey.
Yeah, but he doesn't have as high a ceiling.
You don't know. He drops 22, 23 per game on 40% three-point shooting.
I don't know, man. I just don't see him as a linchpin of an offense. Like, I don't know what he does great. He is solid.
He can be Chris Middleton.
I don't know that he can be that. Chris Middleton is freaking awesome. Like, I don't know that Franz is that good.
Franz is good defensively. He can shoot the three, and that's it. That is what you need.
He is Franz is a better fit next to them, but like Giddey has an elite skill. Where I don't know that Franz has the elite skill. Like, he's good.
Yeah,
he's good
that's
at
true.
a lot of things.
He can still be a borderline all-star talent, which is perfectly fine to draft at 8. Giddey, I don't think that Giddey can succeed equally in any team. Franz Wagner can be great in most of the teams.
Yeah.
Giddey's ceiling is for sure higher.
He's good at lots of things.
Wagner floor is way higher than Giddey's.
And Giddey's got a pretty high floor. I don't know that it's way higher. I don't know that I agree with that.
Let's say a bit higher. I think that you can put Franz Wagner in 30 teams and he will be flawless.
Yeah, because he's big and he shoots the three. Like, that's
exactly.
But that doesn't make or break a franchise. There's lots of guys in the league that you could put on 30 teams and they're going to be successful, but it doesn't mean that they're going to make or break your franchise. You know, like, he's more of the Mikal Bridges of the Suns, which is great. Like, you got to have him. The Suns aren't anywhere close to what they are today without him. But Mikal Bridges isn't the reason that they became the Suns. The reason they became the Suns is Chris Paul and Booker. And I think that Giddey has a better
not
chance
the number
of
one
being
pick.
One of those guys. You know, yeah, not the number one pick. I get that. There's tons of examples, but the thing is, you can't be like, you know what? Let's be the Suns, and the Thunder obviously don't think this way, because if they did think this way, they would have just said, if you're healthy, you're playing, and you're going to play. We're going to play a regular rotation the rest of the season.
No, don't get me wrong.
Because
they
would have said, like, we could look where they got Booker, look where they got Mitchell, look what the. You can't use those as examples of a way to build a team.
That is BS. That is complete BS. You want to be there, but it's not enough. And to me, the way in which they tested things this season and tried to develop is equally important. Not to get disgruntled veterans that can kill years of development of your young players. That is something that leads you to less wins. And no, that is not something that they did. So to me, there are things where you can choose to keep Kemba Walker and try to play and say, yeah, go ahead, do whatever. And they didn't.
Yeah.
Say no.
But that's also
no, that's important, Andrew. That is
but that's
really important for me. That is something.
Situation, though. It's disregarding the actual. It's like when people come back and say, like, well, they should have just kept Chris Paul. Well, the situation at hand with everybody involved was not going to allow Chris Paul to stay. The situation at hand involved with Kemba Walker was not going to allow him to stay either. You know what I mean? So it's not like those situations were. I mean, Kemba Walker was not going to play for the Thunder. Like it just wasn't going to happen. So
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that can be true. What I'm saying is there are teams that get veterans, try to glue in a few players just to roll the season over. That is not what the Thunder are going to do.
Yeah.
And that is different. That to me is very different and very important, because you really need to establish something. You really need to establish some sort of way of playing basketball in OKC that I think
Yeah.
has equal, like the reason why they won against Phoenix is because they played hard. Because even if
Mhm.
Phoenix shots 14%, they should have been able to beat OKC, and yet
Mhm.
they played hard.
Yeah.
And that is the difference.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not doubting.
if you look 5 seconds of Dwight Howard,
yeah. One, Dwight's not going to play.
that is how you lose.
Yeah. Well,
Like playing uninterested veterans that will say,
I get what you're saying. Because like the Thunder are very interested in having high character people here, and people that are interested in staying here, people that are invested in not only the team but in the community. I mean, there's no, like, Mike Muscala and Kenrich Williams aren't here by accident, and they didn't keep them at the trade deadline because they didn't have any trade offers for them. They kept them because they do believe in the culture stuff. That they do believe that those two in particular are good examples of people that can help these young guys, and they don't want any part of the guys that won't. Like, the reason that the Thunder, even last season, before the season, like Kelly Oubre was not putting on a Thunder uniform no matter what. Period. The end. He was not going to play for the Thunder. James Johnson wasn't going to put on a Thunder uniform no matter what. Those guys weren't going to play for the Thunder. The people that they are, it really does matter quite a bit to them. I guess I'm cutting out. Am I still cutting out? I don't know why this is so disastrous. Anyhow, yeah, I mean the kinds of people matter, and I mean we can go and look at everything that's happened. Like, there's been a lot of positive things to happen to this Thunder team, even though they haven't gotten lucky. The fact that Shea has developed to the player that he has been tremendous. Like, he is closer to a number one guy today than I thought he was going to be. That's a huge win for the Thunder. Yeah. Bringing in Josh Giddey, and like that's a huge deal that he ended up working out. Still the second. Thanks, everybody. I guess I'm only cutting out for you. Everybody says they can hear me just fine, so I guess that's good.
Okay.
Josh, being the caliber of player that he is in a rookie season where he's the second youngest guy in the league, like, that's tremendous. Like, the guy's not 20 yet. Like, we have to remember how young he is and how long of a runway he has. Trey Mann in the middle of the first round to get a player that just can create the space alone and then has been able to deliver these supernova quarters, really just the second quarter, where he did it multiple times, where he's scoring 20 plus points in a quarter. Like, okay, wow, that's a weapon. That's incredible. Great. Bank that. And still, like, we haven't even mentioned Lou Dort, who had a really nice beginning of the season, ended up getting hurt, missing a majority.
Over on their one game more for Lou Dort with the Thunder.
Over. You hater.
I just think there is a non-zero chance that he's gone on draft night.
Yeah, I don't have a good feel for that right now, to be clear.
You don't have a feel like you don't feel that is happening, or just don't know.
I don't know. I just don't know. It's certainly possible. I mean, when you look at the history of Sam Presti and the way that he's done his business, like, could he be dealt? Yeah, I mean, definitely he could be dealt. But another good player.
Yeah.
You know, you have 3 first-round picks in this draft. You know, and let's say you do get lucky, like, you don't have to trade him. Like, you keep him, like, you stack the talent, and then maybe you combine him with somebody else and get something else for later. You know, it doesn't have to be this year. You can try to figure it out. And, don't underestimate just like having a success story that you unearthed at the end of draft night, where you bring this undrafted guy in and he's become like a real player in the league.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can underestimate like the kind of story that is like to keep for your franchise as you continue to grow. So, not to say that like that's the reason you keep him, but it is like an added little bonus, a little feather in the cap of the Thunder organization to have him. And then you look at everybody else. Like, I still don't know what to do with Poku today. I've seen him for 2 seasons. He's still captivating and strange and great, and I just don't even know what to say about his future today. I need more. I need to see more for us to get there with him. And then you've just got a bunch of projects. Like, Baisley became a pretty decent defender, and is he going to develop offensively? I don't know. That's kind of important, but at least he took steps defensively. Like, there's a lot of positive things, and the fact that they're going to have 4 picks in like the top 34 or whatever it is, like, great. The Thunder have positioned themselves with a solid base going into draft number 2. Like, that's where we have to also be, is like, this is draft number 2. But also, if you want to be the team that jumps the middle, if you want to be the team that competes at a super high level, the best chance to do that is to land yourself in the top 5. And if they don't, the battle is so much more difficult. The Thunder last go around, they got 3 picks in the top 5, and it just felt like they glided into the conference finals eventually.
Yeah. That was unsustainable. That is an unsustainable way to draft. I mean,
Yeah,
to
but
get 2, 3, 4.
if you get one of those type of guys, because like and Kevin Durant is the exception, and you need the Kevin Durant certainly.
Yeah, that's the point though. Like, even if you draft, and this is probably an hyperbole,
Mm-hmm.
take Harden and Westbrook and keep them here for 10 years with Ibaka, with pick also good players around them. There is almost 0 chance that they win a title.
I don't know. I don't know that I'm.
It's very slim.
Just time out for a second, because
they had chances with better players around them.
I'm not going to talk about Oklahoma City. I'm going to talk about Houston.
Yeah.
Houston,
they still lost.
They still lost, but they got close. And they were up against an all-time team.
Yes,
all-time team. But all you want to do is be in that upper tier and give yourself a chance. That's
yeah,
the
no,
goal. They competed for a long time with just James, and they made trades to get the other guys. And the Thunder have the assets to get the other guys. But part of my point is that if you could draft, I don't think there's Kevin Durant in this draft. There might be in the next one, but in this one there's not. But let's say there is a Russell Westbrook or James Harden caliber of player in this draft. You add that kind of player to this team where you already have a Shea and a Giddey. Because Houston didn't have that. Houston had James and a really good general manager.
Yeah.
And they made it, and they figured out a way for it to work. The Thunder have already got Shea, is in my mind like a young James Harden in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And then if you can add a big man who could be the caliber of that kind of player, which is why you want to draft in the top 5. Okay, then you're like really cooking with something. Like,
Yeah. Yes. It is the odds of drafting a good complement for Shea in the top 4 are higher, much higher in the top 4 in general. And that I agree. I like the numbers. I mean, the odds says as much. You need to be there.
yeah. And I
But
mean,
the,
you
the,
have
the
to
odds,
acknowledge, yeah. And I'm just telling you, like, I do acknowledge that there are a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on at once. Like the Thunder are doing 100 things at once. It's
yeah,
not only about the draft pick.
yeah,
It's not only about. I mean, it's about the draft pick. It's about player development. It's about the development of Mark Degnault. Like, is Mark
exactly.
Degnault getting the right resources for him to become a better coach? Because we sure want him to be the next coach of the Thunder. How are we making him a better coach? How are we making I mean, at all times, the Thunder are thinking, how can we make blank better? Like
Yeah, how
that,
we can find marginal value anywhere.
yeah,
That
and
is
they're
that is the thing, and that is why
good all the time. Yeah.
I really think that if you look at the past championships, you either have LeBron James,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of a kind, like Tim Duncan was one of a kind. There are
Yep.
not many players like that. So even if you draft a good number 1 guy,
Mm-hmm.
Carl Towns is a good number 1 guy.
Yeah.
John Morant is a good number 2 guy. It might not be enough to draft guys like that and winning a championship.
Yeah. The
Like
true
Ben
generational
Simmons was a
guys
good
don't
number
come
1
around.
pick.
The true generational guys only come around every once in a blue moon.
Exactly. So even if they draft, they get number 1 this season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's likely that this is better than drafting number 5, but it's unlikely that either will lead to a championship by themselves. They had to find something else, and that something else may be, hey, we are the Grizz. Ja is great, but we are awesome without him, and he is the icing on the cake. This is the guy that making us jumping. So until the OKC builds something like that alongside Shea with a few great players, we say, they are not good enough. Because Memphis is absolutely good enough. Is it good enough to beat a good LeBron team? No. Guess what? There is no good LeBron team right now. Are they enough to beat Giannis? Probably not.
Probably not.
But they are good enough to scare them. And again, last year we were saying Shea might be better than Ja right now, or at least so. To me, is hey, let's take one step at a time. I know that drafting a top 4 it's important, but let's face this. Let's face it. In next year draft, the chances of drafting an old timer are very low, very low, and the distance between 5 and 8 is even lower than in a traditional draft. So let's take it easy and trust Sam that yes, we want him to have the most chances, but it's something else needs to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what OKC does in the draft. And to me, OKC is working towards that something else. And and we've seen glimpses of that.
Yeah.
We've seen them trying a million combination alongside Shea. Let's try him with a big man. Let's try him with 2 long guys. Let's try him with good defenders. Let's try him with a shooter. And I think that the picture to me is clear. You need to get 2-3 shooters alongside Shea, and then you can put in off the bench guys that can defend. And that team, if you put pure shooters alongside Shea, I'm not convinced that is not a 35-win team next year. If you just put shooting alongside him.
Yeah, I don't know that they will. I think they're going to play your guy Lou Dort next to him next year. Is what I think.
Yeah, but it's going to, like, at some point,
it's going to break through, and I don't think that they're under the impression that it won't. That's what happens. That's how the league is designed. Is that eventually every team is going to be pulled to the middle. Like every
Yeah,
single
but
team is going to get pulled there. I do think here's the thing. Like the Thunder look at Memphis and be like, "Great, like we want to be there." I also think that they look at Memphis and say, "That's awesome. We need to be better than them." Because that's the
yes.
team that we're competing with. So when you talk about like holding this team back this year and holding this team back, next year, it's in an effort to look at Memphis and say, how do we not shoot for being Memphis? It's how do we shoot for beating Memphis?
Yeah, but to me, there is a limit. There is a limit on trying to calculate everything because you also have to let players blossom.
Yeah,
And
it is a balance that is going to, and it got awkward this year. It's going to be awkward next year too. I just have a hard time believing that no matter who they draft, number 1, number 7, number 6, I don't care where they draft. I have a hard time believing that they're going to be like, okay, we're done. I just don't.
but what do you mean by we are done? They may not do anything and just say, hey, let's try to play and let's see what we have. Because again,
They'll do that for a period of next season.
and
That
what
will
if they
happen.
do 10-2 to start off because they are amazing? Do you pull them back? I don't think so. Even if they are 5-5, why are you pulling them back? Because even if you pull them back, odds are that you are not going to be bottom 5.
Yeah.
And this is like this team has too many little flowers that are blossoming, and you try to go say, yeah, but it's just in game. Yeah, I don't want to try that. But why? I mean, to me, they purposely tanked this season,
Yeah.
and yes, they were not able. I mean, they didn't know what they had in Giddy. They didn't know what they had in Tremaine. Now they know that they are good rookies.
Mhm.
Just play the best lineups. Just
Mhm.
play lineups that make sense together. Just enough of these 4 non-shooter plus Shea. Don't do that. Play 10 games the right way, 20 games the right way. If you are terrible, great. Give yourself 20 games. If you are way above 500, you just go. If you're not, you say, hey, not good enough. We tried. If in 20 games you're not good by playing the best, then you're still in time to say, hey, let's go back and let's win 28 and get another good draft pick. You have time. So, like, to me, playing up until the All-Star game in like trying to mask tanking a little bit, like doing stuff like playing the Akite, but then I play Shea, that leads you in the same. Let's just start and focus for 20 games, and then we'll see. Because if Shea, Man, and Giddy find a way to be great together, I want to see that. You have so many assets to complement this if they are good enough.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know
Like,
that they're going to be good enough. I mean, I'm still just
that's the point. You don't know it. But this season, as soon as we saw lineups, say, yeah, I would try that lineup. Oh, wow, it works. Let's try one that I'm sure that it doesn't. Oh, see, it doesn't. It's not good enough. Of course it's not.
Yeah.
Of course it's not. It's like
I'm
Baisley,
still just trying to
Dort,
picture that.
JRE. Like,
Yeah,
I would not play these 3 together ever.
Yeah, I know. I'm just still. I mean, Sam gave us the expectation of a long rebuild.
I know.
Gave us the expectation of a long rebuild. This hasn't been a long rebuild. We're entering draft 2.
Sam is also the guy who said, prepare for a summer of internal development. He said that.
That's true.
So I'm not saying that this is. I mean, I don't know.
He was prepared for that. I don't know that he thought Paul George was going to fall into his lap.
Anyway, my point. The point is, I don't know. The thing that I know now is that if you play enough with cleaning the glass lineups, and you try to say, hey, let's see if this lineup that sounds good, it's actually good. It will be good.
Yeah.
And again, that to me is the story of this season. they saw something that worked and they put it away. It was almost like 2015, 2016, when I remember vividly, they destroyed Memphis when they played Ibaka at the 5. They killed them.
Mm-hmm.
Billy said, okay, this has never happened. We
Yeah,
will
put it away.
never run this unit again.
Yeah.
Up until the Golden State playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
it was,
I know. I'm. There is no accident to how we've gotten to where we are. And I do think that, yeah, if you're going to play Kenrich and Mike and Giddy and Shea, and then you draft Paulo Banchero or whoever,
you trade Dort and Baisley, you get shooters. Yes, I know where you're going.
I would be very surprised if that was like the lineup that they gave. I still think, and justifiably, I think that they still want to get as good a look at all their young guys. Some of them non-shooters, some of them can shoot. Trey Man can shoot.
Just play Trey Man with Gideon Shea and let me be happy for 30 games. just let
I just am trying to make sure that you guard your heart just a little bit, Michele. That's
I know. I will.
Part of this. That's part of this. Is I'm just trying to be a good friend to
No,
you.
don't worry. I can settle down on lower expectation as I go. But nothing will sway me from the fact that I've seen the potential of this team. As soon as the 3 ball start to go in, this team is very good.
Yeah, that's why we got to wait for Grady Dick in 2023 to join this team. Don't you just want a Thunders that just says Dick on the back of it?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I think you do. Yeah, he's I mean that type of player, I haven't watched much of him at all. And so I can't like sit here and say he's going to be amazing. But a tall wing that can just flat out shoot.
Like Mathurin. Sorry.
I don't.
I'm starting to put positive thinking into my head.
Don't do that.
I also think that Johnny Davis will be better at the 3 ball just for seeing his free throw percentage on a box score. So I'm on
Penny would agree.
this kind of mood.
Penny loves him. Penny thinks that he could be the 4th best player in the draft.
Okay, then is exactly who the Thunder will draft with number 3 pick, and we'll be oh no.
Yeah, Penny loves him. So yeah, it was an interesting season. The Thunder have a foundation of players that I think are interesting. They have a coach that I think is really interesting too. It's a nice. Is it ideal? Is it Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and Serge Ibaka start to a rebuild? No. But is it a really interesting team that has a lot of potential? Yeah. I think that there's a lot to be excited about as a Thunder fan. And the plan, I still believe, is to continue to stack young talent from the draft this year and the year after. And then I think that to me, after the 23 draft is when you get like the true full evaluation of what exactly do we have here. And I think the Thunder did that after they took Harden and after they brought in Ibaka, and they just played them. Like they just let it go. And they were good. And then they were like, okay, what do we need to take the next step? We need a big. And then they made a trade for a big that was the right trade. And then they rescinded that trade. And then they made a trade for another big who was still pretty good, but still not the right pick. But he was good enough to make you decent, or like good enough to make you a really good team. And like those are the kind of moves that, to me, that will happen within the evaluation of the 23 team. I don't think it's going to happen within the 22-23 team. I think that's the 23-24 team, just to be clear. Also, and we've talked about this, I've said this enough times where if you haven't heard me say this, maybe you're a new listener, and welcome to the show. It's going to be about the CBA. There's going to be a new CBA in the summer of 23 that will be ratified.
That I completely agree.
And then they'll know what rules to play by. And then if there's nothing that could potentially screw everything up, great. Let's do it. Let's go. So I think there's a lot of reasons why you want to wait. And to me, that's not the primary reason. It's one of them. The primary reason is that you want to stack more talent on top of this team so that you actually have a chance to compete for a championship. That's all. They could be a good team next year if they wanted to be. They can make 3 trades this summer to become a good team next year.
They will be a good team without any trade.
I smell a juicy bet coming our way. All right. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. Sorry about my internet issues, but thanks to Michele for continuing the pod. It was a great season. It was, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the season. I enjoyed being able to do podcasts 3 times a week. I was talking to somebody yesterday. They were like, how many times have I heard you talk about this Thunder team this season? We're trying to total up the number of hours, and it was a stupid number of hours. So if you've been with us through the whole journey, we appreciate it very much. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.